I don't think the picture was on.
Do that. Keep that 1 second. Let's, why don't you play a couple notes and we'll turn it on.
We'll just stop the premiere.
Are we live, you think?
Yeah, I guarantee it. Nice. We didn't know we were live.
I'm just trying to think back of what we said.
Oh, nothing. Nothing was said from the time it started to nothing was said.
Hey,
Yeah, I think we're live.
You can see my good side for a second.
Not seeing any live chat. Oh, no! Layla's Guitar Daddy's here.
All right. We're here. Been here. GPS didn't even say you've arrived, and all of a sudden here we are. You turned the lights on and everything.
We were watching the premiere of that other video, and it I don't know what's going on because it did it to me last night too. Typically, you hit start streaming on OBS, and then that comes up on YouTube, and you can see what's happening. You're like, cool, that's what I want to happen. You hit go live, and you're live. I hit start streaming. Next thing you know, it's like you're live. I'm like, wait, I never told you to go live. I just wanted to see if it was working.
Right.
Let me get to the comments. There's my wife. I always count on her. So, how's it going, Layla's Guitar Daddy? How you doing tonight? So, we were just live last night.
Seems like an hour ago.
So, what's new tonight? So Chris came over, brought back the Harley Benton, which I've been looking for.
I had to put something on.
Brought back that.
Yeah.
And gave rave reviews really for him.
We did.
Like,
I have the notes.
I was a little surprised.
Yeah. Fit and finish, he gave it 100. Fretwork, 100. Hardware, 80. Basically, he said the bridge could be a little bit better. Electronics, about a 75%. Pots and caps could be better.
We'll let him get into that, though.
Pickup could be use a little spacer, but overall, he liked it a lot. Yeah. I mean, he had a lot to say about it. A lot of good things to say about it.
We'll let him get into that. And so that will be coming out soon. Not sure exactly when, but that'll be coming out soon. This guitar, look at. They did play it. I mean, there's still plastic on there. It doesn't matter. But
they call it a scratch plate for a reason. Over.
But I mean, they did play it. You can tell that it got used a little bit over at the shop.
Yeah, I mean it's. Plays great.
I thought it played nice. And I'm glad that he checked the intonation on it a little bit because I was struggling with that.
You said like open D. Not now.
That's cool. Last night we unboxed the Wampler pedal. So the Terraform pedal. And we haven't had a chance to play with that at all, but I did plug it in right before this started. And with all the knobs straight up, you know, it has kind of a... Turn on. That's like the Ottawa. We could go to the envelope filter. Oh my gosh.
Been playing at church too long.
There it is. That's just straight up, no tweaking or anything. And it's just, what else was cool in there? Univibe. That's cool. Probably, and then a whole bunch of other tremolos, choruses, rotaries. It takes Pat to the happy place if you go up to the chorus, or up to the rotary. Because you certainly get the... Did my wife just call me a hack? I thought maybe hack showed up in the store, in the show, but I think she just called me a hack. Because I can't get the... Either that or I coughed.
It might have been the playing because you were messing.
I think it was probably the playing. Thanks,
Sorry,
babe.
I was just you can't see it on the camera, but between one you have plugged in, one I have plugged in, and 21 more sitting behind us. It's crazy.
It is. And here's the granddaddy of them all.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's the gold standard. Although the Neos sounded great when we played them last night.
Oh my gosh. How about it? They all sound good. I mean, so far, there hasn't been... Has there been any that we don't like that we've tried so far?
Not that we've tried, I don't think.
There's some that we haven't plugged in.
I mean, even the micro chorus, which is a faux... It's like I said before, it's Leslie's stepsister.
Right.
Even Leslie's stepsister turned up to right about there. Sounds pretty good. Oops, we blacked out there.
This one, the DLS Effects Rotor Spin, it was in one of the episodes. Love that. The guy that owns the company that I'm emailing, very responsive, good guy to work with. Definitely check them out. And he sent this out to us, which was really cool. Mm-hmm. So there's, oh my gosh, there's so many Leslie pedals. But anyway, what else we got? Anything?
I don't know that you want to talk about it, but I'm saying it now. The text you sent me earlier with the message you got from somebody.
No, I'm not talking about it because we talk about it won't happen.
Well, I'm not saying it has to happen. I'm just saying that there was a message because you asked the question.
Right, but the point...
It's like you found out today that Santa wasn't real.
The point is to have them on the show, not to
It is.
get a question. So, why don't you say that? There's the hope of a special guest.
Yes.
Somehow. Either a cameo appearance, a lot. I don't know. I don't know what that's going to look like. But I'm not going to...
Sorry.
I'm not going to jinx it. You're going to jinx it. I'm not going to allow it. So that would be very cool. Because we have a question. So we'll give you the question. Yes, I did. I see what you said. Found out Santa Claus wasn't real.
Yeah.
Because I've been under the impression forever that the Leslie speaker, the Univibe, we were just on the Univibe. Which one is that? My gosh. These are so small. Right here, Univibe. There's right. Let's turn the depth up a little bit. Right, so a Univibe, this thing.
Jimi Hendrix.
Right. My wife is right, Anna. My impression was the Univibe was created when they were attempting to make a Leslie speaker in a box. Like they were attempting to make the first Leslie pedal. That created the Univibe. Doesn't sound like a Leslie, but it became kind of this happy mistake. And so the person that I'm reaching out to kind of learn more about this from basically said, no, that's not how it happened. That's not true. That's a lie. And it was before I ever even said anything, because I said, we're doing this Leslie series. We know you like uni vibes. We have a question about that and how that came to be. And right away, I think he knew where the question was going. It was like, no, that's a lie. So, hopefully, we'll get some more insight into that. But I'm not going to let the cat out of the bag. Although we did drop, there's a couple hints just dropped. Yeah, we got nothing.
Well, I was just playing one of the ones from the pile. I haven't plugged this one in before. Keeley, it's the Keeley Dino My Roto, and I put it. It's got a chorus, a rotary, and then a rotary flange. Just not right for the rotary, just the. Of course, I'm a sucker for chorus. It's almost like Robert Keeley knows what he's doing.
So, there's nobody really in here asking questions. We got Layla's Guitar Daddy popped in to hang out with us, and which is awesome. But we're kind of like in this weird place because we've been like really pumping through stuff. But we've talked about a lot of Leslie stuff. We don't want to beat that to death. We had Chris come over to talk about this guitar, which is fantastic. There'll be videos coming out on that. I'm trying to think what else we might want to be talking about. And I'm not sure there's a whole lot right now. There'd be people with some questions and stuff. That'd be cool. Yeah, man, thanks for hanging out. We could just play a little bit and then...
Well, I'm heading to Atlanta.
Right.
For a week. And during that week, my goal is to hook up with Jake Willoughby from CL Alsip Guitars, or Alsip Guitars. And maybe get a tour of the shop, the factory, the shop, and then maybe even a tour of all of the guitar stores in Atlanta. So maybe some video footage come out of that. Maybe bring back another custom guitar, perhaps. I'm not sure.
Right.
More importantly, spend Thanksgiving with my wife.
Right. No, we can't get away from that. Alright, so Layla's Guitar Daddy, that's actually a great question. Thank you. Well, thank you. Thanks for helping us out. It's a wonderful question because there's a couple of schools of thought. One school of thought is that modulations go near the end of your chain. Another school of thought would be to put in an effects loop. So I know, like, I held up the big Hughes and Kettner Tubes Rotosphere. That I run in the effects loop of the amp I'm using. The other school of thought is modulation before overdrive. So Univibes tend to be pretty popular. That pedal show did like a whole episode where they had Univibes with overdrives before them and after them and comparing them and looking at the difference. So I guess bottom line, there's not a right or wrong. I tend to put a Leslie pedal and a Univibe pedal before my drive. So I would go tuner, Leslie, or an overdrive, or a Univibe, overdrive, delay, reverb. Is where I tend to put it. But a tremolo pedal, I would like kind of further down the line. I probably would put a tremolo pedal before delay and reverb. Although some people still put that after, because if you think of a tube amp, right? Like, so your tremolo is more in the amp, and all your effects, like if you're running tremolo in an amp, you're hitting the amp first with all your effects. So there's not a right or wrong answer. Well, we're running the mono most of the time all the time.
Except for some of the demos, we hope to explore some of the stereo parts.
Yeah, we've talked about in the demo running a couple stereo. Or if it has the stereo ability, maybe demoing the pedal mono and then at the end tagging on a stereo sound sample from the pedal. For the very reason that like 90% of, well, I could be wrong, but this is what my made-up statistics say. People in high places do it all the time, right? Most people, I think, are only carrying one amp. Right?
Yeah.
So, like, where we play, we have one amp on stage. I feel lucky to have one amp on stage. I don't think I can get away with 2 amps, so I'm not going to be able to run it in stereo. So I think most people run them, play them, and even practice with them. So we want to kind of get that, what's it sound like, mono, because that's what most people use them. And then maybe if we have stereo features, like I know that this Wampler has stereo, and some of the other ones, even the DL SFX pedal has a in and then an out A and an out B, so you could run that. I guess that would be stereo. Mini Vent has a mono out and then a left out, so you can run stereo.
But the micro,
I don't know if the micros. They only have one out, but I don't know if they have a stereo out or not.
but that blend, it isn't truly a stereo, but the blend, it
Well, that's a
kind of
whole nother-
simulates 2 amps, right?
Right.
It simulates 2 amps in the sense that when we were doing this, and you can see the video when it comes out, but
Which just came out.
they have a great feature on this.
Right. So the blend knob. But that's not for stereo, that's for...
Right, but it's the concept of what it would be like.
So
with
it's
2
not
amps.
bouncing 2 sounds.
Right.
So stereo, right, the swirl would be going between 2 amps. What these guys tried to figure out is Stevie Ray Vaughan or David Gilmour or whoever was running a Leslie and a clean amp at the same time. So that blend knob lets you go all clean and then blend up Leslie to all Leslie. Yeah, I forgot that was a good point.
To answer your question, well, I don't know. Like, maybe this one or the Moore. You know how much the Moore is? Leonard's Guitar Daddy asked, what's the price range lowest to highest? What like, the Moore, do you know? I don't know.
So this on Reverb used 40, 45. You could get it for 40, 45. The Moore Soul Shiver, I'm not sure off the top of my head. They're not typically expensive, but I
can tell you how much this one costs because the price is on. This is pre-owned. Money Laundry spinning speaker emulator was $50.
at Guitar Center.
Yeah.
And you might be able to get a little cheaper on Reverb, but
You pay shipping and whatever.
shipping and taxes and stuff.
So from the 40 to 50, what do you think? Oh, well, yeah, there you go.
33
At
on the sales.
last year.
$33 on the sales for like a TC Electronic Vibra clone. The Nux Rotary, which we haven't even plugged in yet, you're looking at like $99. Here's a pedal that has the fast and slow switch, but also has an octave up and an octave down on it, so that might be pretty interesting. So once you get into the $100 range, I would say a lot more things open up. So like 102, 150, 175 opens up even more. Some of the used pedals that aren't being made anymore, you can get at that price range. If you're willing to wait, so like the Rototron, the blue one.
Oh, this one. That looks
And we haven't plugged this in yet, but this is an all analog. And so if you go out and Reverb, you'll find them new, I'm going to say 300 more. Don't quote me on any of this. $300 to $400. Used, you'll see them in the 180s, 175, 180s. If you're willing to wait, 150s will pop up. If you're willing to really wait and hunt, 125 might pop up. And that would be a nice option probably, but we haven't plugged that one in yet. But forget what the Fender runs. I think the Mini Vent by Neo was running like $350. And so here you got one that has no knobs on it, and it's $350. But sounds
Yeah, sounds great.
killer. Sounds absolutely.
And we don't know what the micros are yet because they haven't hit the market yet.
There's one or two of these on Reverb right now in a decent price point, and these are amazing. We bought the Line 6 one for $40 at Philly Guitar Center. Philly Guitar Show. We bought the Line 6 Roto something.
The Roto
something.
machine, right? Oh my gosh, this thing's a tank. The Line 6 Roto machine. Yeah, there we go. I was trying to look up something. On this thing. Good thing we have to pay by the pound.
Right, that thing weighs a million.
Wouldn't be able to afford that tank.
All right, Strymon Lex, I think, are $300. So basically, the answer to your question is $40 to $400. Depending on which one you're looking at, whether you're buying new, whether you're buying used. So it's kind of like the whole, and that's one of the things we're hoping to do with the series. Like, here's some inexpensive options if you just want maybe this sound. The Keeley pedal that Pat has right now, you can get a chorus, a rotary, or a roto flange.
Well,
so you can get like 3 different sounds out of it. The roto flange is neat. I really like that one. Because you get the long flange like this. I feel like you get this thing going, and then around that you have this thing going. It's cool.
Best used gear score. Well,
Reverb.
Well, I think he doesn't mean where. I think he means like what is the best gear score we've ever gotten. Well, mine's right there. It's the original TS-808. I got it for $50. Depending on which chips in it, depending on which day you're looking, they're from 400 to 2,000. I'd say that's probably up there for me as far as like value.
Well, the free Music Master bass amp wasn't bad.
Not sure.
So I have that I haven't turned on in probably a year to 2 years. He said what?
Yeah, I think he means like what was.
Yeah. Trying to read at a distance. I should wear my glasses. Haven't turned it on in probably a year to 2 years. I have it sitting out in the garage, no less. A Fender Super amp. Not a Fender Super, a Fender Super amp. So this is a little later. It has multiple channels on it, right? It has a clean and a dirty, and I think push-pull pot. You know, it. Bottom line, the Fender side, the clean side, channel 1 sounds like a Super. It has 4 tens in it. I got it for $200. It had 4 different speakers in it and some tubes that I didn't change. Tubes, change the speakers. Ended up with another, $200 in it, and gigged that amp for like 10 years. So, guitar free always wins. Yeah, how about it? Guitar wise, I don't know. I mean, the $400 1973 SG Custom. What was it, 6? I don't know.
Yeah, mine's probably not here, but my I have a 91 PRS CE24 that I think I paid $800 for. Sunburst, original HFS pickups in it. It's nice. It's B stock. It's got a B stamped on the back of that stock. Don't know why. I don't care. It was like $800.
Yeah, that's a tough question.
Because that was a long time ago, though, too.
What's yours, Layla's Guitar Daddy? What's your best score? There's been a lot of good ones. Well, I think you're looking at 2 guys, too, that don't shop unless it's a deal. At this point, like, we want a deal. Like,
You hear that, Lori?
That's pretty cool. With, I mean, no tweaking or anything.
Right,
like
well,
that.
yeah, this is. I mean, it's been. I mean, there's a couple of those knobs that aren't quite at straight up, but there's people have a theory that a true test of a great pedal is what does it sound like with all the knobs straight up. There you go. PRS SE single cut for $200.
Yeah.
That is good.
It's a nice deal. Alright. Anything else? Layla's Guitar Day saved us here tonight with a little bit of conversation. You know, it might be. I don't know if this is the best night.
It used to be.
Yeah, it did, and then it seems like everybody else started doing Monday night.
A pretty crowded field,
right? Yeah. And we're not. We've talked about that. We're not upset about it or mad about it or care about it because we want to grow our channel and have fun doing this, but we don't want to do it being reliant on not doing it when other people are doing it or relying on other people's groups coming in.
Right.
So
we're trying to be consistent is what we're trying to do. And then oftentimes we love the chat. So again, thank you, Layla's Guitar Daddy.
Right.
We love the chat part, but like part of this then it gets archived as footage and people come through and look at it after the fact. But we do like the interaction part. But we're trying to be consistent about when we do it so we have a good chance of people doing it, joining us.
And so it makes sense to do it on the night that we film because we're here and everything's kind of set up. But on the other hand, it has become kind of like
a bookend to our night that pushes us sometimes.
Right. It's almost become like a burden that sometimes like we have to. We could get into something, but we can't because in 30 minutes that's going to start, and I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I love when people come in. Like I love hanging out with Layla's Guitar Daddy, but
I would say yes to your question. I think. Well, Jason actually took some off of his board to bring them in here for this series, so he does use a rotary effect, and so the discussion has been once we get through, because truly we haven't even plugged into all these yet. I mean, that's going to be tough to beat, right? I mean, for sure.
And not even beat. You know what I mean? Not even beat or match. It's just, you know, like I mean, like you don't have to beat it.
Well, you would have it not be there.
Right.
That's kind of what I mean.
So
like
the church board is permanent. So a pedal this size doesn't matter.
Right.
Like, if I was hauling it to gigs, this would look much more... This would be winning points just on size alone.
Yeah.
So I don't think it's a matter of, like, is it going to come off the church board? That might say there just because it is big and it's the only place I can use it. But which one's going to go on? I cut you off, but which one's going to...
No, I mean, I think that in general, there have been pedals that we have purchased to review on the show that have wound up on our board, even if it's for a couple weeks, right? So to answer your question, we're going to get into church chat here for a second. We are not your atypical worship guitarist, right? We both have things that have shimmer, and we both will do swells and things at times, right? But we don't always play with a keyboard player. So to answer your question of what songs, we can use these in a lot of songs, like because a lot of times, to be honest, we're playing in church. I mean, I'm chunking away, you know. So I'm kind of driving the song, and then a lot of times I love it when I hear like a swirly thing coming from the other part of the stage, you know, like... Well, let me just play a swirly thing. Like, Jason might play something like, you know... Under my... So we tend to use it more like a keyboard player, like more to cover some territory at times that a keyboard might in worship. Instead of we're not really the transparent overdrive guys. We're not really the 3-note triad, pick out the chord kind of guys per se. So these tremolos, these rotaries,
I always think of
fill that spot.
The one where you're doing like So you get the one song. So I think I have the slow Leslie on. So I think is it as well?
Oh yeah, it's a G, right?
And that's C to E minor, and then it walks up to the D. I can't remember the rhythm of it though. That's when they go into the bridge. Well, I missed it because this has. I have the ramp on it on it has a real slow. But so when you're walking up that C to that D to that E minor, coming off this real slow, Leslie.
Kind of faster like that?
Well, when I walked it up, that's when I would hit. Ramp is too.
Yeah, so I don't know if this is too fast, but.
Well, I'm looking for the ramp.
Yeah.
So you're starting that pass with it slow, but by the time you get to the top.
So yeah,
give air some dimension. Like that's a big build. So moving from that slow spin to the fast, and I don't know with this pedal. If there's a way to change how fast the ramp is, but it's on the slow now. Like I would do that, like at the top of the bill, it'd hit the ramp. And then when it drops back down, cut it back. So moving that, you're moving air and keeping it swirling, but giving it dimension, but also going back and forth between that fast and slow to build tension. Mm-hmm. Right? Is that?
Yeah, because I use them a lot of times in bridges or breakdowns. I use my Diaz tremolo in those moments. So it really is. Well, it's that Leslie effect, right? And the Leslie effect is from an organ. So a lot of things that maybe a church organ, a gospel-y church organ, would kind of cover those moments of like tension's good work. Because when you're making this motion of warble, that looks like tension, right? So it's like.
Well, and even the slow Leslie. So the difference here's with it on. When you have it nice and slow, it's not a huge noticeable thing. Right. It just gives it some dimension, I think. Which a lot of people use their tremolo like that. They just a little touch of tremolo and have it on kind of all the time just to give it some dimension. Mm-hmm. You use your tremolo more like a Leslie sometimes.
I do because I like the faster setting for the most part. Yeah, so we're not the atypical guys that play worship. We sort of the nice thing that we talked about when we got interviewed by Guitar Hack is that we get to draw from our actual influences. Some Christian, some not Christian, but just what influenced us as guitar players. The way that we kind of play at our church, we sort of have that freedom of expression at times. So instead of the Nigel Hendroff, which I just saw Hillsong play, the guy's brilliant at like textures and pads, sort of like the Edge. We're not really like that. I like swells with some shimmer on it, but for the most part, we're I'm palm muting and open chording, and you're doing the swirls, and when it comes time to take a lead, it's open the guitar volume. So we're not the atypical. I've often joked about if Chris Tomlin would walk into the back of the church, goes, that sounds like one of my songs, but somebody is upset with their parents. Not Joe Harvey, more metal, but somewhere in there.
It's funny because I walked in the bathroom one time. Somebody was like, "I love the blues licks you play on Sunday mornings." So somebody knew, somebody knew that wasn't. I like those blues pentatonic runs you use every Sunday morning.
And we're like, "Oh, you mean the only things we know?" That might be the jam at the end, right? which is coming soon, right? Yeah.
Keys that in though. Is that E minor? Yeah, well, that's the best way to do it. That thing's a little strange.
It is.
I like it.
I like this guitar. It's the most I played it. I like the pickup.
It doesn't get much simpler than that. That's for
No,
sure.
it really doesn't. I mean, and I agree with Chris. Chris, he was here earlier tonight. Plays in a band with a guy who likes P90s, and he's like, basically, he kind of rolls it back to like 7. And that's kind of what I did with the tone. And nobody died. Whereas 10, not as warm.
On that note.
Yeah.
Yeah, big shout out here to Layla's Guitar Daddy
Yeah.
for hanging out with us tonight, asking a couple questions.
That's right.
And this show's for you.
It's true.
You and my wife that calls me hack. So, I think with that. I'm going over to hit the end button.
You think they'll know this one? You think the YouTube spies?
Good night, everybody!